Karma police arrest this man. He talks in maths. He buzzes like a fridge. He's like a detuned radio. Karma police arrest this girl. Her Hitler hairdo is making me feel ill, and we have crashed her party. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mess with us. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, where we really like school buses. Aren't they neat, Andrew?
They is.
Yeah.
I'd say they are, but
Yes.
you know my grammar.
Right. You know, it's kind of funny that the woman who was crying about racism and busing all of a sudden is infatuated with school buses. It's like, pick one.
Who's that?
Kamala.
Oh, the Ugandan giant?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know. She's confused. I just think she's confused.
She might be
She's
something
really
other than confused. Her eyes look a little glossy. And yeah.
Kamala Harris as the vice president just shows that we've lost a meritocracy, in this country. I mean, Joe Biden, he thinks half the country's unqualified.
Yes.
Same thing. We ended up with Justice Jackson, who doesn't know what a woman is.
Yeah.
Which should disqualify her from being on the court. I mean, how do you rule on Title IX? How do you rule on anything if you don't know what a woman is? Those laws should all be invalidated then.
Right.
There's no such thing.
We've picked new groups. You got to get with the time. Affirmative action that's not for the people it used to be for. Now it's for a different group.
Yeah, affirmative action has become, what was meant to be a well-meaning opportunity, I think, for people who really had been prosecuted because of their race. Really was true 60 years ago. Has become the exact opposite of everything that America used to be.
Yeah, I mean,
by the way,
it just shows that that's never the answer, is to handle things that way.
Well, it destroys achievement. I mean, that's what it destroys.
Right.
It's no longer about how hard you work or how much you apply yourself.
Yeah.
And there's other problems too. I mean, if you want to speak, by the way, Radiohead was the song.
Hey, very good.
Yeah.
Karma Police from Radiohead. That's 2 in a row.
I know. I mean, I was pretty on top of that one.
Yeah.
By the way, you look at things like college emissions. On the one hand, like me, if I were a brilliant person, which I am, I didn't apply myself, but I got straight A's, I got a 1,500 on my SAT, and I wanted to get into Harvard, I'd have no chance, Jay.
Right.
Because you either A, have to be a minority, or B, you have to have a legacy.
Yeah.
My last name was Kennedy, and I scored 500 points worse, I automatically get in. We've destroyed any meritocracy. Even the military, the meritocracy is being destroyed.
Right.
So it stinks. It's horrible. But speaking of stinking and horrible.
Yes.
I'm not done with election predictions.
Oh, boy.
Before we get into our stuff here for a minute, I'm not done with it.
Yes.
I got another prediction.
Okay.
First off, did you see the KSTP polls today?
No, I did not.
Okay. I have long criticized that poll for weighting Democrats and independents too much.
Yeah.
I continue to have that criticism on this poll. I'm not saying it's invalid. What I'm saying is the poll, it's like a 35% Dems, 30% independents, and like 28% Republican. I don't understand how they come up with that methodology. I don't get it. But in this poll, Jim Schultz is up 7 points.
Goodness.
In the latest round.
Wow.
And if this poll's weighted to Democrats, like I think it is, Keith Ellison's finished.
Yes.
He has no chance. Now, I don't know that that's true, but if he's losing in this poll, it's pretty bad. Ryan Wilson is up 5 points as state auditor.
Goodness.
Julie Bois, who's campaigning on abortion for an auditor, which means she's in trouble. She has nothing to say. Is in serious trouble. I'm going to say Wilson wins that race. I would have said that a month ago.
Yeah.
He's
I
really
agree.
being outfunded. He's all that stuff, but there's a fair amount of undecided still, but my guess is that breaks his way, not her way, at least most of it. And I say the Republicans win those 2 races.
Absolutely.
Kim Crockett's losing, thank God. because I'm voting for Steve Simon. I've endorsed him, and I will not vote for that loon. And it does have Jensen down 8, which I don't believe either.
I don't believe that for a moment.
I don't believe it. I do think Walz is still ahead, but I don't believe Jensen's down 8. Now, I still say, I'm going to still stick with my prediction. Walz wins by about 3. That's about my prediction right there. I still give Jensen
Let's hope not.
a 1 in 3, a 1 in 4. And again, folks, divided government is kind of fun. Because if the legislature just pisses and moans and does nothing, I'm good with it.
But will they? That's the question. Will they stand up to Tim Walz, or will they give him what he wants, 85% of what he wants, so that they can say no new tax?
Well, the governor has that bully pulpit. I mean, the governor, look, again, the legislature screws itself with these omnibus bills and things like that. I think individual bills, I think they could, because I think you could get a coalition that could push the hand of the governor. But if everything's going to go in an omnibus bill.
Yep.
Okay, then
if they have the Senate and the House, there is absolutely zero reason to put forth one omnibus bill.
Yeah, and I still don't understand why the leaders can't get together and say, okay, we agree on these 10 things. Let's just vote on them. Let's stop the stupid under the table in behind closed doors. Why hold hearings if you're not going to vote on these things?
Yeah.
There's no point on it. So you'd hope grown-ups would prevail. I have a hard time buying that's going to happen, but that's just me. I've said this now. Last week I predicted Tyler Kistner was going to win over Angie Craig.
Yes. Real
Real Clear Politics has moved that into the lean GOP category.
Wow.
So I believe I'm going to stick with that's going to happen. I'm going to make a bold prediction that Finstad down in the first wins by double digits. I'm going to make that as a prediction as well.
Wow.
I think he's really dominating down there. He's one of the few Republicans in this state that really seems to be well financed and all that. I haven't seen squat for his opponent, which is funny because his opponent, wasn't he part of Hormel or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Where is his?
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on with
Too many spam sandwiches.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
I don't know
why he's not putting up more of a fight. But I'm getting tired. I have to tape the Vikings game because I can't stand the commercials right now.
Yeah,
it's getting just
Yeah, and Emmer's safe where he's at, but yet they have him on the TV like every time you turn around.
He's got money to spend.
But it's not ads. It's like news. He's been on CNN. He's been on Fox. It's
it's when the Republicans take over, he's probably in line to.
He's head of the what is it?
No, he's the head of the caucus. The one of those election caucuses, but he's been there 4 terms now. He's probably in line to be the chair of something.
Probably.
So probably why he's out and about. I think the other races probably won't be close. So
right.
I don't know what to make of CD3. We'll get to that in a little bit when we get to my ballot. So there's another one of my bold predictions. I'm going to say they go 2-2 the statewide elections.
Wow.
So we haven't had a Republican attorney general, I don't think, since the 70s. So
it's been a
long time. And I want to say the last Republican auditor was Pat Anderson, I want to say. So
that's true.
Been a while there as well. So 2-2, interesting. Nationally, I'm going to make a few more predictions, Jay. Last week, I don't know if I predicted this or just said something about it. I said the Republicans would be 53-47 in the Senate.
Yes.
I'm going to expand that.
Really?
They're going to get more.
Wow. Even though they say, in air quotes, they say all these races are tightening. Well, I don't know if I buy that.
The problem there's 2 problems with that. One, I don't know who's already voted.
Right.
That's a problem. Number 2, here's why. Let me just get back to why I think.
Okay.
Number 1, the top issues that are emerging are crime and inflation.
Absolutely.
And that's not even close.
Nope.
And after that, it's probably energy and things like that. And the Republicans have advantage at all of those issues.
Yes, they do.
Maybe by default in some cases. Some individual candidates have done a great job on it.
Absolutely.
But some are just there. They're just kind of being swept along.
Right.
But I am the last week or two, you've seen Republicans in 50-50 races really separate. Mm-hmm. Whether that's J.D. Vance, whether that's Ron Johnson, whether that's the Nevada race, which looks like the Democrats going down there for sure. Herschel Walker's been ahead in almost every poll I've seen in the last 2 weeks. The Arizona race is pretty much dead even though Blake Masters is being outspent 10-1. He's actually moving up every time you turn around. And Mark Kelly can't seem to get above like 47%. And if he stays there, he's finished. There's no way he can overcome that. The three races that I think Oz is going to win as well. Yes. Now, the three races that have piqued my interest, I can't believe I'm saying these three states. The first one, New Hampshire.
Yes.
But the other two are Colorado and Washington. Now, you watch the interesting dynamic here.
Yeah, they're moving.
Those states were written off in July. Democrats put no money into them. Paid no attention to them. Patty Murray, I don't know that she came out of her basement till a week ago, and it's really hurt. Yeah. And the Dems are frantically trying to shore those up. But I'm going to tell you, I think Bennett in Colorado is a little safer. I think Patty Murray's in serious trouble, and I think the New Hampshire race is going to go Republican. I really do. I really think, again, it's another race where the Dem is just stuck at that 47%, just can't move it. Mm-hmm. And every poll, the Republican moves up and moves up and moves up and moves up, and they're neck and neck right now.
Yeah.
And I say if it's neck and neck, the incumbent loses. That's go back to 2014. The Republicans picked up 9 Senate seats, and nobody saw that coming.
Right.
They thought, they'll get 3, they'll get 4, they got 9. Okay? Mm-hmm. Nobody saw it. Maybe here the same thing. Maybe they run the table again.
Yeah.
Now, there's caveats to this. I don't know if Herschel Walker doesn't get to 50%. They'd have to do a runoff.
Yep. And that probably will happen.
Probably. I think Walker will win, but I don't think he'll get 50%. Mm-hmm. The Arizona race can still go either way. I don't quite trust the polling in Nevada.
Right.
I like Oz, but something about him still kind of...
How Fetterman is still hanging around after that debate performance, I have no idea.
You got to look at the dates on these polls, though. If you look at post-debate, you've seen the swing to Oz. But, again, how many people cast a ballot already? I mean, there's caveats to that.
Right.
So, I don't know. I just, like I said, I'm gonna go with New Hampshire. That flips reds. I'm changing it to 54. That's my final prediction is 54. Okay. So,
all right.
if it's, again, I'm always wrong. And like I said, the Republicans 40 seats in the House.
Yeah.
And I'm going to predict in Minnesota it stays a Democratic House and a Republican Senate. I'm going to predict that it stays.
Okay.
You're going to see some movement, but quite frankly, there are too many. This is why I think Republicans should win the House in Minnesota, but I think they won't because there's too many Democrats running unopposed. Mm-hmm. I believe it's 1 out of 6 are running unopposed in the House, meaning those resources are all spent in the other races.
Right.
Even a Democrat in Minneapolis who gets 20% pulls money and volunteers and resources and call centers and all that. And I just think not having those candidates opposed is going to be a real problem, and I don't think they can overcome that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. And I'm still not comfortable with a Republican lead in either the House or the Senate because when you get into
in the U.S.,
no, in Minnesota. We don't have, I don't think, a good idea of who's really conservative and who's really not just because they have an R by their name. When you get into outstate Minnesota, you're sure to win if you're an R. Well, how many wolves in sheep's clothing do we have? Because we have so many liberal policies that get through. I'm not saying there are, but there are some Republicans
what you're saying is,
I have
what you're
some
saying
issues
is
with.
There's not a working majority. There's a majority in name, but not a working majority.
Yeah.
There's some truth to that. I think the Dems have the same issue. I think if you look at if a Democrat wins in the 7th or in the 6th or the 8th, there's not many. I think they're going to have to not be Ilhan Omar's to win.
Right.
So they would argue the same thing. They would argue the Tom Bach type, or they're going to have their own splits, especially on certain issues.
Yeah.
They may agree on these 10, they may disagree on these 5.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is where leadership is so key, because you've got to find things that everyone can agree on and get those things done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's where you really have to, especially if the Republicans win the majority. They have got to get together and say, okay, if we disagree on these 3 things, let's agree on these 5 and let's push these. You have to show results. This is exactly why Republicans failed in President Trump's first 2 years. They had no plan for repeal and replace. They promised stuff to the voters, not President Trump. I'm talking about Congress. They promised stuff to the voters and they didn't deliver on it. And you can't do that. You'll get punished every time.
Right.
So either quit over promising or deliver on what you say you're going to deliver. Things. Done any of them. That does make everything worse. So I mean,
yes,
and he's gonna get nailed for it. I mean, very hard, I think. So, I mean, think what you want, but I mean, it's this course correction. I think, and now again, national trends seem to be nothing in Minnesota. And there's something I like about that. There's something I don't like about it. But I think you are gonna see the first Republican attorney general in a long, long time here, and probably the end of Keith Ellison's career.
We'll see. He'll go into a think tank. He'll go into some sort of something.
He may. I mean, he's used to getting us to pay for his paycheck, so I'm sure he'll do something like that. But I don't No, but I think he sees himself as the future something or other, and I think he loses this. I think he's done.
Do you? I suppose. I mean,
where's he going to go? If you can't win an attorney general, which there hasn't been a Republican attorney general in 2 generations, you blow this race.
I would think if I were full of pride and not able to accept results very well, people just don't understand what an attorney general is, and senator. That's a much greater role, that everybody knows what a senator is, and maybe I should run for U.S. Senate. I know we had talked about Emily Larson doing that, but I could see Keith Ellison going in that direction, possibly even.
So the first Democrat to lose a statewide race in 16 years is now going to run into another statewide race.
Yeah,
you can see it. I can see
it's a more high-profile race.
I can see it. I think there'd be a crowded field.
Yeah,
I think
it
would be hard for him to distinguish himself. Again, he's going to get hit over the head for his defund the police and all, which he supported, and that's killing him right now.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a tough time there, but who knows? I mean, he's got name ID and all that, which other candidates might not have. He might have advantages.
I could also see him going into the National Democrat Party as well.
And I would say his name ID is probably just as good, if not better, than Tina Smith.
Yeah.
Not for necessarily the best reasons, but
you could primary Tina Smith, and that would be a contest.
I bet it would be close. Sure. I mean, I don't think he could do that to Klobuchar, but he could do that to Tina Smith if she decides to run again. I mean, it's 4 years away for her, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where he goes, but it's going to be nuts to see him lose, and I think you're going to see him go down hard, which probably means he'll win. Yeah. Because I said it.
I think... Now, I don't think that we're really going out on a limb too far on some of these. It's.
I don't, but it's an interesting dynamic because Attorney General is one that Republicans have screwed up so many times. I mean, they have had the opportunity to win and have failed at this. I mean, I don't even want to go through the litany of other Attorney General candidates they've had. People who are capable and haven't done it or whatever reason. They've had good years to win. They've had the seat empty and not been able to when it was Skip Humphrey and then Mike Hatch. And I mean, they've had Lori Swanson. I mean, they have had opportunities, and this is as good a one as they're going to have. They don't win it this year, they ain't going to win it. So it's just that simple. And Julie Blah, she can go back to doing whatever the hell she was doing because she hasn't done anything for 4 years. And maybe hope we get an auditor's office that gets Windows 95, and maybe we'll update something once in a while.
That would be nice,
You know, and Ryan Wilson, it's funny, he's been a quiet, solid campaign, and you haven't heard any, I mean, it's just kind of weird that auditor's race kind of goes by the wayside sometimes. But
well, I think the political wins are good, and that doesn't hurt.
Right, but Jay, they've been good before, and and again, it didn't trickle down to Minnesota, so I take it for what you want. But anyway,
yes.
all right. So, any more predictions here? You got any off the wall ones?
I don't think any off the wall ones. I mean, I pretty much stand, I think, where you're standing. I worry a little bit just because
elections are about that.
Yeah. And it's
any governor upsets across the country that you see, other than my prediction.
That's a good one. Yeah.
My prediction of Michigan flipping.
Well, good question. The guy in Wisconsin that's coming against the Democrat,
Tony Evers.
Yeah, Tony Evers is the Democrat. He's making some headway. I don't know if it's enough, if it's too late in the race.
I would say that Evers loses that race. That race is a dead heat. Wisconsin is a state Republicans poll low and end up winning, whether that's been President Trump or Ron Johnson.
Right.
We've seen that before, even Scott Walker.
Yeah.
And I really do think that Evers will lose. I mean, I don't think he'll lose by a lot. It's a 52-48 state.
Right.
Let's be honest about it. I'm going to say that falls to the Republicans there.
I mean, we know Kemp's going to win. We know Abbott's going to win. It looks like Kerry Lake is going to shellac
Hobbs.
My
My prediction of DeSantis winning by 15.
I think Zeldin might pull out New York.
Okay, I've been on the fence on that.
I am too. But with what Hochul said this last week, why do you care about crime? I think with the people in New York. What they're having to live through with Alvin Bragg and everything else, that you're showing like indifference to
ignorance. You're showing what an idiot you are.
Like the largest part of your voting base. They're sick and tired of it.
I wish that race had about 3 more weeks.
I do too.
Because I think Zeldin would win if you could go like another month.
Yeah, it's a dead heat right now.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing too. My favorite part was when somebody called Zeldin an anti-Semite. Lee Zeldin's Jewish.
Yes.
And he was like, "What?" And it went nowhere. And it was dropped after. You anti-Semite? What? I'm a Jewish guy. What are you talking about? That's when you know it's getting desperate. You got nothing else to say.
But it's all about desperation for the Democrats at this point. If you look across the country, look with Herschel Walker. What they just trotted out some other woman anonymously, right?
Well,
Jane Doe.
That's to be expected.
Jane Doe, really?
That's the November surprise.
That's your November surprise. Somebody named Jane Doe.
Yeah,
you can't even put a face or a name to the lady.
I think things like that backfire now. I think the October surprise doesn't work.
Yeah,
it used to. I think people are skeptical of any.
I think the Hunter Biden stuff would have worked had it not been tanked by the media.
Probably, and I would argue by social media.
Yeah,
in cahoots with the left and the mainstream media.
Yeah,
and they still are. That story is still being suppressed right now, along with
absolutely
Jeffrey Epstein, COVID's origins. I mean, go to msnbc.com, you won't find a thing.
Right.
So there's, that does happen. I think the New York race is intriguing, and watching the Dems frantically spend money over there to try to prop Hochul up. I remember the Democrats. I just let Zeldin win that.
Yeah.
Why do you want that flake? I mean, I'm seriously.
She's terrible.
And you've got a Democratic assembly. Zeldin will be limited into what he can do. Let him win and then beat him in 4 years.
Hochul's terrible. I mean, she's worse than her predecessor. He was bad.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever you want to say about Andrew Cuomo, other than COVID, he was semi-competent. Okay,
Semi.
With Hochul, it's like there's the participation trophy.
Right.
Cuomo's there because his last name wasn't Cuomo. He wouldn't have been there.
Right.
Let's be honest. He's there because of his father, his late father.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Andrew Cuomo was incapable of doing the job.
Yeah.
Hochul looks like she's incapable of selling Girl Scout cookies. I mean, it's just like she can't do anything. So it's just kind of, again, it's the participation trophy, checking the boxes. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, the fact that Chuck Schumer is now in a race. Yeah. That Real Clear Politics has moved that from safe Democratic to likely Democratic. They've actually moved that race. Like I said, give New York 3 more weeks, and I mean, who did Alphonse D'Amato is who he beat years ago? Okay, in like the 90s. And I want to say Governor Pataki was the last person to win. Kind of like Minnesota, they haven't had a statewide winner in a while. Yeah. So I mean. Give another month to this race, and I think. But again, look, the Dems have themselves to blame for this. I mean, they tried to make these elections about abortion, about January 6th, about climate change. You look at the top issues in this campaign; none of them are that. Yeah. So they're gonna have to take what's coming. So. But then again, I think we're going to hell in a handbasket no matter what. Well,
there is that. Have you heard any updates on the governor's race out in Oregon?
Yeah, the Republican remains ahead slightly. There's an independent candidate getting double digits that's kind of throwing a monkey wrench into the race. Yeah. But I want to say it's like 45 to 41 to 12. It's something like that.
I heard a stat where if all the governors win that are supposed to win on the conservative side, and that's even in like the toss-up states and anywhere it's close, that, what is it, 33 seats for the Republicans in the governorships?
Well, right now, this is what Real Clear Politics predicts. 31 to 19 is what they predict. And that is with Oregon going Republican. Now, keep in mind, there's about 14 or so that are not up. New Jersey and Virginia do it in the odd year. Right. And there's about 10 or 12 that do it in the presidential year. Okay. So they have Oregon going. The latest polling shows Drazen, the Republican candidate. Here's Trafalgar. They have her up 42 to 40 with the independent candidate getting 13. Yeah. There's another one, 37, 35, 17, then 43, 42, 12. The Republican leading in every one of them. So, again, I think that it's been pretty consistent. That's been consistent over the past 2 months. Yeah. So, I do think that there's a chance that will fall. Real Clear Politics does now have Michigan falling as well. Wow. They have Whitmer losing there. So, I mean, it certainly could happen without a doubt.
Wow. So I imagine in a couple of years, Newsom isn't running this year. Or is he running this year?
Yes.
Oh, he is. Okay. So he'll be safe when he runs for president in 2 years.
Well, I would be thrilled if he ran.
Yeah.
I think he's perfect.
Oh, he's terrible.
Right, but perfect to lose, I mean.
Well, we'll see if the rest of the country thinks so or not. Hopefully they've been paying attention.
Well, at the rate people are leaving California, I mean, California and New York really haven't had a high-profile person run in a long, long time. Yeah. Since President Reagan, but he was governor in the late 60s?
Something like that,
It was a long time ago. So. New York's not the state it used to be either. Texas and Florida far surpassed New York.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, if I had put it to you this way, if Biden doesn't run and former President Trump doesn't run, okay, it's Ron DeSantis against take your pick on the Dem side. Yeah. I don't think it'll be Harris. It'll be linked to Biden. Yeah. Could be Newsom, though.
Could be Newsom, yeah.
Because I don't think if Biden doesn't run, Harris doesn't run. Right. And you can't hog chain her to Biden anyway. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, who else you got?
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton's 80 years old.
she'll be a perennial loser till kingdom come.
Well, and you got to remember, the political atmosphere will play something into who runs also.
Yeah.
If the Dems think they're going to lose, they're not going to throw up anybody they care about losing.
Right.
So, I don't know.
It'll be Renee.
Okay.
No.
Speaking of that, my ballot, Jay, we're going over my ballot today. Your ballot. How about your ballot?
Yeah, we could do that. This is every year we hear about, I don't know who to vote for. I don't know who to vote for. I don't know who to vote for. I look at my ballot and I don't know. I look at the judges on the back. I have this, I have that. There are so many ways to find information on who's running locally, and it's not an option to not vote for these races. And we see so many times where the vote totals at the end of the day are fewer than what they get at the top of the ticket.
That's because of my write-ins, though. That's because of my write-ins.
Is that what it is? You do write-ins in Itasca County and Hubbard County?
Absolutely.
Really? Okay.
I go up there and vote 17 times.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
Now, by the way, Jay, I want to say something, too, that you talk about it never being easier. It's never being easier to find your ballot, either.
Yes.
You go to the Secretary of State's site, go to search, hit Where's My Ballot? What it'll do is it'll take you to this page where you type in your zip code, and then you type in your street name, and then you get up a sample ballot. It actually just shows you, I'm looking at it on my phone right now, shows you exactly what's on your ballot.
Yeah.
From the federal offices to the state offices to the county offices, school district, and then Judge Judy's on the back of it. So, I mean, you literally can look at your ballot. If you don't know what ward you're in, for example, in your city, once you type in that on the Secretary of State's page, it will show you your ballot. Those people will come up. Mm-hmm. If you're not sure what county district you're in, I actually had to look up that I was in District 2. I didn't know after redistricting because I was on the border last time, and I stayed in number 2. But you got the sheriff race, you got the county attorney race, Three Rivers Park district race. Me, I live in Plymouth. We're going to use me as an example here. I have a mayor, I have council member at large, and then I'm in Ward 4. So I have 3 slots there. Mm-hmm. So, and then we have the 4 state races and the federal race, which this one is just the congressional. I'm in District 3. And then county commissioner, the 3 county races. Yeah. So we'll go through my ballot here, Jay, and we'll see who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
And what I'm writing in. You have to help me write in.
Okay.
Seymour Butts and all that stuff.
But we're doing this so that people can figure out how to find information on these people, because there's no excuse in 2022 to not know who you're voting for.
Yeah, I mean, little Google searches, and you can watch videos. You can go to their Facebook pages. It really isn't hard. It does take some time, but look, folks, voting's a civic responsibility. You only do it once every 2 years, so why don't you take some every year? I mean, I vote in the odd years if there's a reason to.
Right.
But take some frickin' time and learn who the hell you're voting. Don't just vote for somebody because you saw their damn lit piece. Vote for somebody for a good reason.
Right.
It's just so frustrating.
Now, before we break into those two, I want to go over, because this is important here. Again, the original way we really had to do this was by doing a Google search. That is like the classic, go to Professor Google, type in somebody's name, office they're running for. This year you would have come up with, this is from Alpha News. Candidate says white people who quote MLK are trying to uphold white supremacy. Now, if you're in the Centennial School Board or school district, that would be important for you to know when you go to the polls, because if you vote for this lady,
what's the Centennial School do? What cities
that
are that?
is like Lino Lakes, Lexington. It's up in that area.
I see.
Yes. So Jessica Schwinn, like the bicycle, suggested white people who, quote, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. are racist and accused them of advocating for white supremacy.
Well, you know, Dr. King was an advocate for white supremacy.
Oh, absolutely. Look at him.
I mean, content to your character. I mean, gee.
That's a dog whistle for white supremacy. Schwinn called a family meeting in an undated TikTok video to reprimand white people, calling them racist and uninformed. What color do you think she is?
I don't want to take a guess.
White.
I thought so.
Yeah. She's, yeah.
What a beauty. Just a beauty. She single, Jay?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, why don't you see if she can see if you can get a date with her.
Yeah.
I'm going to send her a message.
So, but you would also find from this, Schwinn is running for school board with a slate of candidates calling themselves For Centennial, which includes Andrew Mayer, Laura Gannon, better not be related to Rich, and Kara Schmitz. The Centennial School District encompasses Blaine, Centerville, Circle Pines, Lexington, and Lionel Lakes. So,
That's a big district.
Yeah. So she says, attention, white people, family meeting time. How are we going to call out our cousins who misrepresent and or misconstrue Dr. Martin Luther King's words and memory on Monday, which was Martin Luther King Day that this was about. And the video is just over a minute long, opens with Schwinn saying, hey, white people, yeah, you're white. Really? I didn't know that. I always identified as
yeah, that's right. I can
Taiwanese.
I can identify as whatever I want today, right?
Yeah.
That's my right.
The same grifters who have attacked our democracy, rigged the Supreme Court in favor of the rich and powerful, and sown division in our communities over masks and vaccines are promoting hate in our schools and trying to force our teachers to lie about our history, the group said in its endorsement.
Rigged the Supreme Court.
Yes.
You mean won elections and appointed people that were approved by the United States Senate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a rigged court.
Yeah.
When Bill Clinton
they
appointed
only
people,
followed the Constitution.
Yeah, when Bill Clinton and Barack Obama appointed people after they
Sure.
won elections, I don't recall anybody considering it rigged.
No. What about Sharon Sales Belton or whatever her name is on the Supreme Court now? Was that rigged?
I don't know. Must have been.
Ketanji Brown?
Yeah, Ketanji
Jackson Brown?
Jackson Brown?
Yes.
Yeah, must have been.
Okay. Yeah. So anyways, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but just by doing 5 minutes of research or less, I now know who I would never vote for if they were the last school board candidates on earth. Because it says in here, it's all about equity. It's all about calling people out online if they quote Martin Luther King. It's terrible. This lady's terrible. Her group is terrible. I hope that they all
rot in hell. Why don't we just say it?
Well, yeah, I guess if that's what you want to say, that's maybe not where I stand.
Well,
but,
if you're going to run for a school district, you have a very, very important job of bringing our young people to be competitive in the global market. You have an obligation to them, and to use that platform to call names to people that you disagree with. You're showing kids exactly what not to do. You're the worst example you can set for them.
Absolutely.
So the hell with them. It just tell with her.
It's selfishness. You are ruining the futures of how many kids, how many students, because you want to be selfish and get points for upholding your stupid agenda.
It's just shows you how hate-filled some people are. I mean, the idea, look, I consider Martin Luther King a great man.
Absolutely.
And I don't,
not without his faults, but
he's black and I'm white.
Yeah.
And I agree with a lot of his things that he said.
Absolutely.
Go back to 1963 and go back to his speech on Washington, and you listen to his words of, judging people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
And he went on, and that's the one line everybody remembers. But if you listen to the whole I Have a Dream speech, you could apply that to anybody in America.
Absolutely.
And that's what was so enduring about it. It's inspiring to me.
Yeah.
And the idea that I can't celebrate him because I'm a white guy.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
stupid.
I'm just nuts.
It's stupid. I mean, he was so down to earth and common sense. He applied to be able to carry a firearm, rejected by the federal government.
Yeah, he was tailed by the FBI and the CIA.
He was.
And nonviolence, the sit-ins,
Yeah.
and the silent protests. There's so much more to him than I think what he's even given credit for. And there's other great blacks and other people that I've admired in history. Jackie Robinson is somebody that the courage to go out there and play and not fight back against what's coming.
Right.
This is 20 years before the Civil Rights Act. He knew that he had to go and be a success and break that barrier, or it may never be broken.
Right.
So I mean, there's so many examples of people like that. Black service in World War II, they were segregated.
Oh, yeah.
And they still gave their lives for a country that didn't treat them equally.
All those Tuskegee Airmen and what they endured.
I mean,
they're all heroes in my book.
Yeah, it's just it's so sad that you can't even admire somebody in history without being called out. Yeah. And Frederick Douglass, and you go back to people like that, people who really are. He's somebody nobody knows anything about him today.
Oh, I know.
It's sad, but it's just
Ray Charles and what he persevered through as a blind man and being black and having to come up through like the Chitlin circuits and all that kind of stuff. And
by the way,
yes,
the highlight of WrestleMania 2,
yes,
is Ray Charles singing "God Bless America."
Yeah,
the greatest version I've ever heard in my life is Ray Charles.
Yeah. I mean, getting basically kicked out of Georgia.
Or is it America the Beautiful, I think.
Okay. Getting basically kicked out of Georgia, not allowed to perform in Georgia anymore. And then having that reversed later on and being able to come back and sing Georgia,
But he still loved Georgia.
He loved it. He didn't get bitter about it.
It's just, imagine him today. I mean, imagine how he'd be looked at today.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be looked at as a success story. He'd be the victim. He never looked at himself as a victim.
Right.
His blindness wasn't going to stop him from achieving everything he wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting off subject.
But
it's important. It's an important discussion.
It is an important discussion. Maybe that's something we should discuss on the podcast sometime. but that is the easiest way to go find out information. That's the kind of old school way, since Google became a thing, and everybody can at least do that. I mean, can we agree on that? Everybody can put somebody's name and the race they're running for into Google and try to find something.
And take the whole 30 seconds to go and look at your sample ballot.
Which is where we're going next, because you got to know who's on the ballot before you can figure out who they are. Right? As Dr. Martin Luther King said, it is about the content of their character. And so by being able to find these people, A, you go to your ballot, find out who's on it, and then B, you go to Secretary of State's website and put it up right next to your sample ballot. And we're going to talk about that now, because we're transitioning. So I don't know whether you want to talk about your ballot first, whether you want to talk about the Secretary of State's website, or how you want to do that.
I'm at myballotmn.sos.state.mn.us. Now, that's a long version. You can just Google the Secretary of State's page. Like I said, type in your zip code. It will come up with the street you're on, and then you will get everything, the sample ballot, sent or put like right here on your phone. Now, it starts with the federal offices, Jay. I only have one this year.
Yes.
Dean Phillips, the current guy there, and Tom Wheeler.
Yes.
Wheeler? Wheeler?
How's it spelled? W-I-E?
W-I-E-L-E-R. Wheeler.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be right.
Now, I have no idea anything about Tom Wheeler. Unfortunately, I know too much about Dean Phillips.
Right.
And Dean Phillips, in my opinion, and I'm going to say who I'm voting for here on the air.
Yeah.
Dean Phillips, in my opinion, is the Mark Kelly of Minnesota. He says one thing and votes another. Mm-hmm. And if Mark Kelly's the Dean Phillips of Arizona. And if he were truly who he says he is, might be a different story. But I am not voting for Mr. Phillips. I know nothing about Tom Wheeler. Didn't Google him. totally didn't do what we said we were gonna, but I'm gonna vote for him anyway. So there's my research.
That does kind of.
But it's not an unknown race here because I do know
enough about Dean Phillips to know he's
right.
Yeah,
So I'm by default, Mr. Weller. You're going to get my vote. Hope you appreciate this, by the way. Hope you're listening over here in CD3. So he's getting my vote right there.
Mm-hmm.
Next come the state offices, and you'll see this on the far left column of your ballot, folks. When you get it on here, and when you go to vote. State Senator, I'm in District 42 now.
Yes.
We have Paul Hillen. I saw one of his YouTube ads. They weren't bad.
Really? I've seen the signs everywhere.
Yeah, obviously he's targeting people who live in Plymouth. My Facebook page says I live in Plymouth. So does my YouTube channel.
Well, I know that he's got a ton of signs up in Maple Grove, too. So
yeah, I don't know how the new district looks either because Warren Limmer lives over by there, so I don't know where the new border is.
Yeah, I know that it goes into like Brooklyn Park. There's a lot of signs up there too.
And Limmer goes like up into Dayton, I think, and something like that.
Although I've seen it south a bit too. I'm trying to remember.
Borders. They're just not like the borders like 94. It's got to be something stupid.
Yeah. It's like Bill's cowslip patch. And
anyhow,
yes.
Mr. Hillen is running against Bonnie Westland.
The incumbent.
Is she the incumbent?
I believe so, yes. I've seen her name in prior years, unless it's an open seat and she just decided to hop back in there. I believe she is the incumbent. Because who would have been over there before?
I don't know.
Is that Sarah Anderson's? Or is it
she was a House seat, though.
Oh, yeah, that's a Senate.
Plymouth, Maple Grove, Medicine Lake. She says she is running. This must be open then.
Okay. Terry Bonoff?
Well, she was there years ago.
Terry Bonoff?
I don't know. It doesn't look like she is.
Well, it doesn't matter. She's not there now. There's an open seat. But I mean, it is a little bit easier to pick a horse in this race because, again, it's a partisan race. You know, for the most part, what you're getting with a Democrat. You know, for the most part, what you're getting with a Republican.
Well, and that's what bothers me so much about this is that she's just endorsed by the usual AFSCMEs and climate stuff.
Right.
Out front Minnesota. And she's endorsed by Ann Rest. Yippee. I mean, if there was any reason to attempt... you know what? I hate saying this. I so much want to vote on both sides, and I just can't here. I mean, it doesn't become of me here to do that. So I'm going to vote for Paul Hillen.
Yeah.
And I've done a little research on him, but not much. But I just know enough to know that I'm going to vote for him.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the House race. I know Ginny Cleavorn. I want nothing to do with her.
Yep.
I know very little about Jackie Schneider, but other than she was the janitor on One Day at a Time. Other than that, Schroeder.
Really?
I mean Schroeder.
Now
I remember who Schroeder was.
Yeah.
Wasn't he the pianist on Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Schroeder. So I'm going to vote for Schroeder.
I know enough for her Jenny. Signs are everywhere too.
Jenny Cleavorn is just an automatic vote for the DFL, an automatic vote for whatever Walls wants. No independence at all, and I just can't look. You're going to be a DFLer and even attempt to get my vote, folks. You have to show me some independence.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just none with either one of those two. So, once again, by default, we'll Schneider it. Now, how am I doing so far, Jay? I mean, am I doing okay? Okay.
I think so.
Governor and lieutenant governor.
Oh.
There are 6 candidates. Some people don't know this.
This is true. You don't have to go for one or the other major party.
We had Hugh McTavish on my show.
Yes.
I've kept in contact with Hugh a little bit.
Okay.
He's got some really good videos out there about the lockdowns. He's got some good stuff to say. And there's 3 other candidates, the 2 pot parties, and then the socialist worker. Now,
sign me up.
You know,
yes.
You know what I'd love to see about the pot parties? I'd love to see what they say on other issues. I really dislike labeling them the way they are. I mean, why don't they just be independent candidates or come up with some sort of name rather than Marijuana Now? I just feel like
It's just such a small. It's like, this is my one issue.
Look at the top issues in this campaign.
Right.
And pot is not in the top 50. Okay.
No.
I mean, I know there's pros and cons to decriminalization of drugs, but quite frankly, it compared to inflation and crime, nobody cares about this issue right now.
Right.
And it's just, I would love to hear
The only people that care about this issue are the people that.
smoking on their lunch break.
Right.
I mean, that's it. So, and then, of course, we have Walz and Jensen. Now, I have wrestled with this. I'm not Scott Jensen's biggest fan. I'm intrigued by some of the other people, but I am going to cast my vote for Scott Jensen.
Yeah.
And I've wrestled with that. Matt Burke's not my favorite guy either. But I am going to say this publicly. It's more of an anti-Walz vote than it is a pro-Jensen vote. And you can infer from that whatever you want to. But that's how I've decided to go.
Okay.
Oh, Secretary of State. Ugh. I'm going to address this race for the last time, Jay.
Yeah.
I have publicly chastised people for not accepting election results. Now, that includes Stacey Abrams. That includes Marjorie Taylor Greene. That at some point you just have to move on. Either fix it or move on. One of the two. Okay?
Yeah.
And I have tried to like Kim Crockett. And every time I do, she says something even stupider than she says before. When I watched her debate Steve Simon, I don't know how anybody could have watched that and was objective and thought she won. I don't know how. Unless you just,
Yeah.
are Team Red. I just don't know, which, again, I'm not part of anymore. So I don't know. And let me tell you something. To vote for a DFLer from St. Louis Park is not an easy task. And I have not voted for a Democrat since 1996.
Yeah.
And that's the God's on. Now, I voted Libertarian. I voted Independent since then. I have not been a down, but for once, I'm going to cast my vote. I'm going to cast it for Steve. And you know what, Mr. Simon? I hope you know what kind of Twitter beating I've taken and stuff for saying this. I hope you're appreciative of it. I mean, I really do, because, it takes a lot to cross the aisle sometimes, because you're going to get hit hard by people, who think you can never, ever, you have to agree with somebody 100% of the time, all the time. And but there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the Secretary of State's job is. They don't decide voter ID.
Nope.
They don't set the primary date. I don't know where, I don't know what Crockett thinks her job is, but those are legislative things. Secretary of State is there to carry it out. So, and I think Steve Simon has done that good enough. There's things I'd change. Most of them are changes in the laws that I'm going to go with him.
All right.
So go ahead, beat me up, shoot me now. It's okay. State auditor.
Okay.
Do you know there's a grassroots and a legal marijuana now candidates in there? Now, what are they going to audit?
I don't know.
I renew my call for this to be nonpartisan, by the way.
I'm going to sit there and count pot
Hey,
leaves.
dude. What numbers do you get? I'm hungry.
Let's count our Doritos, man. Yeah.
Where's the Dairy Queen? No, I'm going to give it up for Ryan Wilson in this race. I'd like the auditor to do something, earn a 40-hour check.
Yeah.
I think he will. I think Julie Blah can go blah somewhere. And Attorney General, to me, is the easiest call of all. I think Jim Schultz by far. That's not close. No. So there's me on my state and federal offices, Jay.
Okay. Now we're getting down into some lesser known races. Those are all the easy ones. For the most part, you can kind of figure out where you sit or where you stand with.
Well, those are all the partisan ones.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Even though like we talked about, I don't think they all should be.
Right. Now, once you get down into these races, it takes a little more research, a little more skin in the game to be able to figure out. But here's the problem. These races command so many tax dollars. And we think, oh, the choices they make aren't that important. Oh, I don't care about the street project across town. Well, you will when the street project comes to your end of town.
Yeah, get that special assessment in the mail. And
right.
We'll see how much you care now.
Hennepin County is responsible for more tax dollars than what was the figure that?
Than any single legislator. One county commissioner controls more money.
Yeah.
And it's easier to pass it because at the legislature, you got to go through committee, you got to go through the House and Senate, you got to go through the governor.
Here it's just 3 out of 5.
4 out of 7.
Or, depends, on the county.
Right, it can be 3 out of 5.
Depends on the county. Live. Yeah, Hennepin County is 7.
It's crazy.
Yes.
So, I mean, and what the counties are responsible for. I go back to that, Jay, from law enforcement to transportation to health and human services to assessing to the courts. I mean, the counties in this state have tremendous responsibility. Some of that's mandated by the state of Minnesota.
Yep.
And so it's a big, big job. I mean, and so these offices, it's amazing. It's amazing all the years I voted not paying attention to these offices.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, I got involved in politics in 2001, so 21 years now. I couldn't tell you in 96, 98, 2000. I can tell you who I voted for governor, president, and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know who the hell I voted for other than that.
And yet
Gary Grimes. Okay, I can tell you because he was a friend of my dad's.
Right.
Okay.
But yet every year you get that bill in the mail.
Right. Well, and I didn't then, but later I did. But, but you still pay for it. I mean, if you rent, you still pay you pay it through your rent. It's passed off onto you.
Absolutely.
So, county commissioner, Hennepin County, I'm in Ward 2.
Yes.
And there's one candidate running.
Okay.
He used to pitch for the Dodgers. Irene Fernando. Now, I know enough to know that I wouldn't vote for her if you hung me by a yard arm. So, this will be a write-in.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to write in J.D. Hogg for county commissioner.
Oh,
so I'd rather have boss than have her.
That's a great slogan.
J.D. Hogg.
Yeah.
Yep. Rather have boss. So,
oh boy,
Sorrel Book. I know you passed away a long time ago, but I hope you know I'm voting for you here for county commissioner.
Wow.
Man, this is where it gets silly, folks. But honestly, if nobody earns your vote, don't vote. You know, Jerry Garcia once said, "You vote for the lesser of two evils, you're still voting for evil." And I try not to vote that way. But I can't give my vote to somebody. There's no way I'm voting for this lady. This lady's bat crazy. Okay? County Sheriff. Deanna Witt, wouldn't vote for her if you hung me off the Empire State Building. Joseph Banks, a little less deplorable, but still equity, inclusion, blah, 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 blah. Seems like a better guy.
Yeah.
But the guy I liked was the guy who got beat in the primary. I can't think of his name. But that's who I voted for in August. So you know what I'm writing in?
What?
Well, if we're going to have J.D. Hogg be the county commissioner, we're going to have Roscoe P. Coltrane as the sheriff. I love it. I love it. So J.D. Hogg and Roscoe P. Coltrane.
That's good. Wow. So how we're getting some of this information. Now, there's a couple ways to get to that. As you're going down your sample ballot, if somebody has a website, there's a link right in the middle column.
Okay, that's not your sample ballot, though, Jay.
Oh, sorry. It's the first page because you can click to go to the actual sample ballot.
Yes.
But in that first page before you go to the sample ballot, it lists all of the candidates for all the races.
Bold, then you can click to their website.
Yep. So there's 3 different columns: office or question title, candidate and party. So the name is in the candidate column, and you can click on any of those with a link and go do your research. That way it'll bring you right out to their website. The other way is through the Secretary of State's candidate filings, and then you go out to the candidate filing webpage from there. It's a little confusing, but then
it's confusing because if you did not have a website at the time that you filed, it will be blank. And maybe you had one since, but then you have to really Google it.
Right.
Okay, county attorney, which we've talked about.
Yes.
Not in love with either candidate here, but I can tell you that Mary Moriarty scares me to death.
Yep. If you want an Alvin Bragg, if you want
the guy out in L.A.
Yeah, the guy out in L.A. What's his name?
I don't want his name repeated on the show.
The guy that got fired or recalled in San Francisco.
How about the guys DeSantis got rid of in Florida? There's
that was so good.
Yeah, there's some Florida law is different, allows him to do that.
You've got a couple of them out in Texas that aren't good like that. You've got Kim Fox out in Chicago. She is from the same ilk as these folks. She's a public defender, which means she has made a career out of trying to get criminals off and get them free so that they don't have to serve time for the crimes they have committed. And that's what she wants to bring into this role.
And that's such a problem because a prosecutor can never be an activist.
Right.
A prosecutor has to prosecute what's in front of them. And say what you want about Mike Freeman. I had my issues with him. But I don't think Freeman was an activist trying to change, trying to reshape Hennepin County.
Disavow the law, the existing law.
Exactly. And I think Martha Holton Dimick is a much better candidate. She's not perfect, but I am going to vote for her. And part of it is an anti-Moriarty vote. But Holton Dimick has got the right attitude for the office. I can tell that I disagree with her on some political issues, but I don't care. If she prosecutes,
she's not supposed to make law.
If she prosecutes criminals, she can think whatever she wants about other political stuff.
She did get law enforcement.
She does have some law enforcement
endorsements. Backing. Well, she got the endorsements as well.
Okay.
30 Hennepin County mayors, including Crystal's Jim Adams, has backed her.
That's a lot of mayors. 30 is a lot.
30 is a lot of mayors. You have some mayors that are frantic about what is going on in Minneapolis.
That's true.
And so I'm hoping that she's going to be able to put it down. I mean, there's still things, like you said, if you look through her website, she wants to reduce violent crime, but build a fairer justice system. So I think there's still going to be a lot of...
Well, the problem is there's a lot to glean from that. I expect a prosecutor to take circumstances into account.
Yeah.
But those circumstances have to be tangible, not activist.
Right.
Not, the victim's a certain color, so we're going to prosecute them differently.
Yeah.
There are times, though, where circumstances matter.
Right.
And, I have talked a lot about juvenile crime, that I think prosecuting 14-year-olds as adults goes against everything we say about 14-year-olds. We don't let them do 5,000 things, but we prosecute them as adults. Now, at some point, you're not going to see the difference.
Yeah.
I'm not saying send them to bed with no dinner. What I'm saying is to prosecute a 14-year-old the same way you'd prosecute a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's justice.
Right.
So, and I'm an advocate of picking one age where somebody's an adult or not. But if you tell me you can't buy a lottery ticket until you're 18, but we're going to prosecute you, put you in jail for life at 14, that's absurd.
Yeah. And as I look through her website, there are things I definitely don't agree with, but I agree with her a lot more than I agree with Mary Moriarty.
Yeah, I'll take 60-40 over 0 to 100.
Absolutely.
All right. Three Rivers Park District, our friend Marge Beard, who we know very well.
Oh, yeah.
She's running unopposed. I will definitely give Marge my vote. She does a great job.
And I will say, just over in my district, District 3, it's Aaron Kolb, friend of the show.
Absolutely. Of course.
Yeah.
we've had Jeff on my show, so
Yep.
absolutely former Crystal City Council person. So
Yep. She's great. And then we also have up in Maple Grove area, Jennifer DeJarnette.
yep. I wonder how they got redistricted. Where's
know.
Dan Freeman now?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe he's just got a slice of French regional park.
Well,
I don't know.
The old one he had when Penny Steele was there.
Yeah.
She had most of Plymouth. I want to say that's Marjacy, but Dan had a weird because he was in our old 45. I don't know if it was New Upper Golden Valley or he had a chunk of something.
Yeah.
But he lived in like Minnetonka
Right.
or Hopkins or something like that. And he had a weird looking district. And Jennifer is like Maple Grove, Champlin, you know, the northwestern part of I want to say Brooklyn Park too. So
Right.
I don't know how it goes anymore. And how about still appointing two of those members? How stupid is that?
Yeah.
Anyhow, maybe Dan's not running again. Maybe Aaron's replacing him. I don't know. But yeah, I would certainly give my vote to Marge. I have not a second's hesitation doing that. Now we get into Plymouth, Jay, and now you need to help me
Okay.
because I have no idea who to vote for in this city. And I so don't want to write in.
Yeah.
I so don't want to make a mockery of this. Now, the mayor, Jeff Woolsey, you know him a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. We've talked a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, he's running unopposed. My gut tells me to vote for him.
Yeah. He's generally conservative.
I don't care what he is. I'm
But
just.
it's
Does he want sustainable green step?
right.
High density housing funded by the government? I don't know. I mean,
Well, that's a fair question.
I'll probably vote for him.
I mean, and
probably
here's the
will.
thing: when you get down into this layer of government, and you can get somebody who's a conservative but trusts their city staff, and their city staff brings them absolute garbage.
Well, it's the attitude of you run the city, not the staff, and that's
Right.
the attitude. I don't care if you disagree or agree with the staff. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, it depends whether you're letting that stuff go through.
Right,
Yeah.
but you have to be the person that says yay or nay. The buck stops with you.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest thing with the attitude. I need to see that attitude. For council member at large, oh boy.
Yeah.
Now, I know I'm not voting for Clark Griswold.
Yes.
Derek Anderson, no idea who he is.
Yeah.
Can't find anything on him.
No, when asked to supply his website at the Secretary of State site, he gave a email address.
Okay.
So that doesn't help.
I don't dislike what I've heard from Nia Markham.
Right.
It's just a little too cliche for me.
It is, but I mean, if you go out to Clark Gregor's website, he has a list of endorsements who are just fine individuals like LaDonna
Cousin
Hoy.
Eddie.
LaDonna
Cousin
Hoy,
Catherine.
founder and former executive director of Interfaith Outreach. Kevin Anderson, who Democrat, Hennepin County Commissioner. Ned Carroll, running as a Democrat. Jim Willis, current at large.
Willis isn't so bad.
Still a Democrat. Judy Johnson, Metropolitan Council member. That should be enough to make you run for the hills. Dr. Melinda Sohoni, Precinct 4 chair of the DFL SD 42. You have a principal, Hopkins City Council member, former Plymouth City Council member Ginny Black, former Wayzata High School teacher, Minnetonka City Council member. I don't know why that matters. Former Hopkins City Council member with purple hair.
So Mr. Gregor's part of the club. I mean,
yes.
Can we just call him part of the club?
Yep. Vote for me because other politicians like me. Yes.
That's a politician's take.
Yep.
So do you think Nehi Markanda is...
Nehi?
Oh, what's her name?
Is it Neha?
Neha.
Or is it, yeah. Markanda?
Yeah. Do you think she's worth voting for?
Well, like you
gotta tell
said,
me,
I mean,
Jay.
going through the website.
But she
I mean,
seems pretty sensible.
It sounds better, right? keeping you safe. I'll work with Plymouth police and fire departments to help continue keeping.
Okay, she could say a lot worse on that.
Yeah. Using your tax dollars wisely.
Okay.
Evaluating city projects and minimizing taxes on citizens and business owners. That sounds good.
Okay, 3 for
You know?
3.
Preserving our parks and trails.
I'm okay with that. I like Plymouth stuff. They got nice parks and trails. You want to preserving them? I'll do. Expanding them, I won't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you going to do? Let French Park be destroyed? I mean, you have to preserve that. It's a jewel in the city.
Right. So yeah, I don't know.
3.5 out of 4 there.
Nah, that's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she's a female entrepreneur, a community leader. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds like you could do a lot worse, you know.
Okay,
So,
Jay, I'll take it.
Okay.
Okay, listen here, Knee-High. You're getting my vote, and that ain't easy.
Yeah.
Look at all the persuading Jay had to do.
Teach a Sunday school. That could be good, depending on.
Yeah, those two words just don't go together.
Yeah.
Not to me, anyway.
Okay. What else you got?
Well, now we have the Ward 4 race, though.
Right. The Ward 4 race.
We've got. I do not want to vote for Julie Pointer.
Yeah.
James Williams, I got his lit. I can't remember what it said. You know, this is what I say about lit, Jay, and we've made this point a million times.
Yes.
If it doesn't catch your eye, you have from the back door to the garbage to catch my eye.
Right.
If I don't read it, what do you want to bet nobody else does?
Exactly.
But he did leave lit at my house. I just didn't read it. So what do you got on James Williams?
Hold on. Let's look at Julie Pointer for all the people.
Do we have to? I've made up my mind.
Protecting the environment, focus on sustainability. I know she's got you there. Parks and recreation.
I just
maintaining
crap my
high-quality
pants.
life, improving infrastructure.
I just
maintaining
peed.
our roads and bridges. Business, supporting new and existing businesses. What does that mean? Affordable housing, so everyone has a housing option.
Oh, wow.
Public safety, responsive and equitable service. That sounds great. That doesn't sound like let's lower crime. That sounds like
Let's be activists with crime.
yep. Yeah, she's terrible.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Just a beauty.
But she's the incumbent there. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yes, she's
Well,
the incumbent.
Here's the thing, Jay. Just because she's one of your girlfriends doesn't mean I'm going to vote for her.
James Williams, he looks very distinguished. I like
He
that.
does look distinguished.
I like that very much. Let's see what he has to say about himself. Character, integrity, and empathy. Well, we'll see here.
Okay, I'll take 2 of the 3. I don't care about empathy. This is politics.
Innovative and dynamic, results-oriented professional with over 25 years of experience in the U.S. and globally. Decisive team player leader with proven analytical problem solving, organizational planning, administrative, and communication skills. Meets
Okay.
diverse people at all levels and effectively motivates others to attain goals and objectives.
I'm all tingly inside.
Yeah. Thrives on challenge and works well under pressure. This
Okay.
doesn't say anything.
Okay.
Let me find some.
Enough
what he
with the
stands
resume
for.
here. I'm not hiring him to be a life coach. What?
Well, he's always had 3 main values in his life. Character, always doing the right thing no matter the consequences. Integrity, always being truthful no matter the consequences. And empathy, always having care and concern for others. Well, that's good. Now, here are the goals that my mission. But be the best servant that he can be available, attentive, and responsive. Enhancing and sustaining public safety for all communities at all times. They should always, citizens of Plymouth should always feel safe wherever they are, and no threats to our citizens. And if there is one, there should be immediate assistance ready to render aid. Providing affordable housing. Everyone deserves the opportunity to have decent quality housing. Housing should be affordable for everyone so that the citizens of Plymouth can live comfortably at a fair price no matter their income. Providing public health, including physical and mental health provisions with special emphasis on students and children. Number 4, attract appropriate business and commerce with emphasis on redeveloping the Four Seasons Mall.
Okay,
that
that's
needs to be
something
done.
That needs to be done.
That's
for
been
sure.
sitting empty for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Maintenance and future planning for ongoing infrastructure investments, including clean water, sewage bridges, roads, and other information technology, network design, and deployment. So I don't know if that tells you enough or not. But there is one other guy, Jimmy Page. Oh, that's what he should have went with because it would have been a sure winner. Instead, he's Jamie Page. You're telling me you have a name, James Page, and the same as one of the most decorated and loved guitarists of all time.
Is he the best, Jimmy Page?
No, but he's
Okay.
one of the most loved because Led Zeppelin. It's like,
Right, but
You
who's
know,
the best guitarist in your mind?
oh, goodness. I mean, best guitarist, you've got so many. You've got Yngwie Malmsteen. You've got Steve Vai. You've got Joe
Hendricks.
Satriani. Jimi Hendrix was good, but
I love his solos.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of feeling there.
Me a little voodoo child.
He changed the face of rock and roll music. He changed the face of music, and so you've definitely got an argument with Jimi Hendrix as well. But you know what? I think that if you have a name James Page and you don't go with Jimmy Page when you're running for a popularity contest,
If you
what
could
can I
have
say?
Captain Jack Sparrow, how do we not have Jimmy Page?
nope, we just have Jamie Page for Plymouth Council.
It's Bob again.
You know, I'm sorry. If you decide to run again, you need to change it to Jimmy Page. Free advice. Take it for what it's worth.
So what do we got on this guy?
Oh boy. Safe community. Jamie has been a part of the Plymouth community since 1996, working to make it a better place. He desires to have a community where everyone feels secure. Preserve natural resources, parks and trails. I think I've heard that before. Support business. I think I heard that too. On the city council, Jamie will advocate to keep our businesses strong to help fund innovative projects and keep taxes low for our residents.
Okay.
I like that.
I don't mind that. Innovative projects worries me.
Yeah, that does.
Sitting around thinking of ways to spend my money
Right.
is
That's really all he says. He picked those 3 points, which, we tell people to keep it simple, and that's good. It really doesn't tell me a lot. That's
okay. Yeah. Okay. He looks like Jimmy Page. Okay. So it's the Williams guy or Jimmy Page. That's what we're looking at.
yeah. So you're gonna have to make a decision between that. I know.
Was there a forum? Was there a debate I could watch? They had to have something.
I'm sure they did. Yeah. I'm sure that they did. Yeah, I don't know. He did get a Bachelor of Science degree from North Dakota State University.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. It's better than some places, I'm sure. Although being a state university, you're probably still got your share of. Although this guy probably graduated in the 70s from college, so it was
Well,
a
he
little
was
different
playing
deal.
guitar.
Well, in his time off the road, he would hit Bismarck and or wherever this is.
Mohall.
Why not? My not.
All right, so I'm gonna
So
have
that's
to
what
decide.
you're looking at there.
So
yeah.
I'm undecided on that.
Yeah. Here we thought we were getting the full council.
James Williams, he's a black guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't hate what he had to say either.
Yeah.
So, but I got a little too much resume with him.
Right.
A little too much innovative, collaborative bull crap.
Yeah.
Problem solving, specialized donut eating, whatever. I don't. It just sounds like gobbledygook from both, but I think I could vote for either one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe I should send them an email.
Yeah.
Say, hey, what you think about this? What you think about that? See what they say.
Well, you could do that.
Maybe I'll try that.
Yeah. Give him an email. See what you get back. Yeah, over where I'm at.
We didn't do District 281. What are my write-ins? Jason Bradley, write-in.
I can tell you this: there's nobody that is running for that 281 that deserves a single vote from anybody. Renee Bowman,
Herman Munster,
Jonas George Cornea. Oh, they're just all bad. Ugh.
Holmes? What about Holmes?
Holmes.
Take that mask off, Holmes.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
You know the greatest part? The greatest part when they're all asked that curriculum question, and we did that show a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Basically, none of them objected to the curriculums being taught.
No.
That was my big takeaway.
Nobody was for banning books. That's the new language they use.
Yeah, unless it's the Bible.
We're okay with pornographic material in the schools. Yeah, just don't bring the Bible in.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Bring in pornography, but nothing else.
Right. Absolutely.
So I got 4 write-ins, huh?
Yeah, you're going to have to come up with 4 write-ins on that.
Oh, they're going to be so naughty.
I know. I'm going to have to come up with it, too.
I can't wait.
I can't vote for a single person.
I can't wait to see the person's face who reads
They're
them.
terrible. Oh, all of them are just terrible. Thank you, good people of Robbinsdale School District, for standing up and running.
Yeah, it's only about 7 cities wide.
Not one person is worth voting for.
Yep, we're not in Loudoun County.
Just touch base quick in Crystal. I've done my research there. In my race, you have Forrest Idebo against Tony Sumnick. We know Tony. Mm-hmm. He's a good guy. Forrest is part of the Johnny B crowd, so steer clear. Just like down on the southern part, Therese Kaiser, part of the Johnny B crowd. So you don't want that option either. I know. Sorry, I lost.
Now we should say, Jay, your area is the upper half, the seat that Olga Parsons is vacating.
Yes.
So it's the wards 3 and 4.
Right.
Section 2.
Yes, that's correct. That's one of the seats, and then there's 2 seats down in the bottom half.
Yep. Ward 1, Ward 2.
Ward 1, Ward 2. One is where...
that's Kaiser's race.
Well, Kaiser is the incumbent in the one. But Albin Andalashak is going to be way better. I've been able to sit down with him a couple of times, and I really like where he's coming from.
Good. How's he doing down there? I don't know.
He's working really hard.
Okay.
He got through, from what I understand, has handed out all of his lit, and he's made his rounds. And
I'll say this.
Worked really hard.
Therese Kaiser works really hard, too. That'll be an interesting race, but she has a good team behind her.
Yeah.
I disagree with her on a lot of things, but she does work hard to get elected. Mm-hmm. So it's 2 hard workers down there for Crystal 1.
And then Tracy Camish is the only one running in an unopposed over in Ward 2. How
about your District 43 races? What are you going to get? Cedric Frazier going to get your vote?
No way. I'm going to have to come up with a write-in for those, too.
I thought I saw his sign in your yard the other day when I drove by.
No.
What was going on with that?
I have no signs in my yard.
Oh, no, I saw it in there. Don't lie to the people here.
I did offer Tony to put one in.
I don't know. I have... not driven through Crystal much except for Ward 4, and I haven't seen a whole lot up there from anybody. So I don't know what's
there's
going
not.
on.
There's not a lot.
And normally Crystal's a town where it's sign wars.
Yeah.
So
normally.
Well, you got Ward 2 running unopposed. Maybe that's part of it. But,
yeah. Could be.
So I don't know. I should drive through Ward 1.
This is maybe the toughest part of a ballot. Is the dreaded backside of it.
Oh, gee.
And I think it bears mentioning because it's there and nobody ever knows what to do with it. Why don't you give me your take on the backside, and then I actually have a little bit of research on some of these, and I'm going to explain that to you. So,
well, Jay, I hate to disappoint the people here, but I don't know much about these districts or who's what or what, Judge 10, Judge 16, Judge 30. I really just don't know who's what. Like what court is this from? I mean, you got these. I know we're in the 4th Judicial District. But quite frankly, I usually just don't fill anything out in the back.
Yeah.
I just kind of usually nobody's running against anybody. There's almost never opposition. So if I don't know, but I don't know how you can memorize all these judges. And
I know.
It's just impossible to do. And because they're not running, so many of them don't have information on them. You have to really search court cases and things like that to find. I gave up on that a long time ago and just said, you know what? Somebody else can vote for this stuff.
Well, maybe this will be helpful. This won't necessarily tell you where somebody stands as far as woke politics or being more constructionist or any of that kind of stuff. But I thought this was interesting. A lot of these judges get appointed by the governor, and then they're up for election after that. And so,
which is weird.
It is weird.
How they're appointed and then they stand for election.
I don't understand. But what I have here is a list of what governors appointed the certain judges, which gives you, I think, a little bit of insight into where they might possibly stand. See?
Again, a good judge
shouldn't matter who appoints you if you're a good judge.
Yeah, the judge does their job, especially in the lower courts. The activist stuff should never make it to the higher courts.
Right. But there's too many bad judges. And someday you might see a Mary Moriarty get appointed as a judge, and it would be a travesty for all of Minnesota if that were the case.
I think there's no doubt she's going for that.
Well, I mean, eventually. Just looking at the Supreme Court here. Now, none of the judges this year are facing contended races. They're all uncontended. So you could do a write-in or you could leave it blank, but just so that you know, I'll just go through it quick. Associate Justice 3 of the Supreme Court was Gordon Moore, appointed by Walz. Associate Justice 8. I think is that 6? No, that's a 6. Sorry. Natalie E. Hudson, Dayton. Then you have the Court of Appeals. You have Judge 1, Theodora Karen Gaitis. Now I'm the one butchering names. Appointed by Walz. Judge 5, Louise Dovra Bjorkman, appointed by Palenti. Judge 7, Susan Segal, related to Stephen. Yes. Walz. Judge 8, Denise D. Riley.
Not to be confused with Denise E. Riley.
Right. Also related to John. Okay.
And Bill O'Reilly.
Yes. Dayton. Okay. Judge 10, Jennifer L. Frisch, Walz. Judge 11, Michelle A. Larkin, Palenti.
That's Jean's sister.
Yes. That's Palenti's. Judge 16, Peter M. Reyes Jr., Dayton. Judge 17, Matthew E. Johnson, Palenti.
What is with the middle initial?
I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of Matthew Johnsons. Judge 18.
That I can believe.
Yeah. Judge 18, Jeff Bryan, related to Luke Bryan, I assume. Walz. Judge 19, Francis Connolly, Palenti. This is the... Let's see.
That's the Court of Appeals.
Yeah, that's all Court of Appeals. Then I just have 10th District Court. I don't think we're all in the 10th District.
I'm in the 4th.
You're in the 4th. For those in the 10th District that listen to our show, you have Judge 2, Amy Brosnahan, Dayton. Judge 11, Jesse L. Seabrooks II, Walz. Suzanne Bowman, Judge 13, Dayton. Judge 18, Michelle A. Davis, Palenti. Judge 19, James A. Cunningham Jr., Palenti. 27, John P. Dehan. There was really no information on him. Judge 29, Krista K. Martin Ventura, appointed in 2001. Judge 30, Jenny Walker Jasper Ventura, appointed in 2001. Catherine A. Trevino Walls, she's Judge 40. Judge 41, Francis Green III Walls. Judge 42, Jeffrey W. Tenney Polenti. And Judge 45, Kristen Larson Polenti. Now, you can go find what's on the back of your ballot, and you can look those names up and find out who appointed them yourself. I mean, it can be done so that at least you have a little bit of information, because these aren't supposed to be political races, and so it may be hard to find where somebody leans unless they have some sort of landmark case that, oh, they let that person go. You know, that they're not going to stick out a lot, but you can get a little bit of a flavor for how they might judge a case based on who appointed them. It's not a surefire way, but it's something to get to know them a little bit.
Incredible. Just incredible. And how many write-ins that I have to do yet again, Jay? It's so depressing.
Yeah?
I mean, it's so depressing for... You just mentioned our school district and all the issues facing them, and to have nobody to vote for is really tough.
Yeah, that's depressing. I will not support anybody that is running for 281. I won't do it. So maybe we should just today, state, for the record, maybe we should come up with some names. You don't have to vote for all four. We could just write in one. And just kind of mess with the system a little bit.
Well,
I
said before, Jason Donald Bradley might be one person that I write down.
Since that's not me, I guess that's okay.
No, I'm just, Seymour Butts. It's I mean, I'd rather have like Alf or Daffy Duck. I mean, I'd rather have that. I mean, I'm dead serious, and it's so bad to say that there's just no one, but there's no one. Go watch that forum and tell me there's somebody you want to vote for. And sometimes forums are not that informative.
This one was.
That one was
very
telling.
informative.
I gotta compliment the questions a little bit.
Yeah,
they covered a lot of from discipline to curriculum to things like that. I mean, it was. I didn't hear one idea on how to improve academics. I didn't hear one objection to anything taught. I heard nothing, but I heard a lot of bloviating. Heard a lot of talk about money. But quite frankly, I don't think that's the issue with the schools. Look, I'm all for saving tax dollars, but let's be honest, most school districts aren't. So to me, if they're going to spend this money, we got to get a better product. And I don't see how we're going to get it in 281. It's going to be 2 more years of garbage.
Yep.
Absolutely. Just think, I'll tell you what, and forgive me for saying this, but I'm glad I don't have kids. I mean, and then that stinks. I think kids are a blessing. I live vicariously through my nieces and nephews, but I am glad that I don't, because I would be down. I'd be in these people's faces. These people would hate me. They would get restraining orders on me. I'd pull my kids out of there. I'd be going absolutely bonkers.
And it's everywhere. None of the school districts are safe in the metro at all.
And by the way, I want to say this too, to all these people complaining about curriculum and all this all over the state. You need to get together in groups and run for these offices. All you law and order Republicans out there need to have a good candidate for sheriff. You need to have a good candidate for county attorney.
Yep.
Doesn't stop and end with Jim Schultz. Okay. He doesn't try individual cases. He can't take over every case in the state. Okay. Don't tell me you're Mr. Law and Order or Mrs. Law and Order, and then, you don't have a sheriff for all 87 are up. Same thing with the county attorneys, and most of them are unopposed yet again. Same thing. We went through this crap 4 years ago. Yeah. We sat here and made a great show out of county attorneys, most boring subject you could think of, and we were pretty funny. Yeah. And I guess got to say, I mean, there has to be a focus on this, and there isn't. And And it's
Well, what show was it? It wasn't too long ago, a couple of months ago, 3 months ago at the most, where we went down the list of county attorneys and how many of them were vacant.
Yeah, we went county by county on there. It was like
Yes.
60 of them. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me they're all good.
No,
probably
sheriffs,
10
county
good
attorneys,
ones.
county commissioner races. Just
How many township races
soil
do
and
we
water
see?
conservation
God.
races. It's just, yes.
It's mind-numbing. I mean,
And here's the thing.
and here's the other part of it.
Yeah.
You look at like the Republican Party; they can't even get enough House candidates, let alone candidates and everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean,
We're not outnumbered that badly, and especially outstate.
well, it's
Outstate, the conservatives outnumber the liberals like 2-1.
right. But the problem with that is that everyone just wants the sexy job. Everybody's waiting for the senator to retire so they can all run for that spot. They're not focused on the lower things that they actually can have a greater effect on.
Right.
What would you want to go to St. Paul for anyway?
I try to avoid
You
it.
lived out there. Would you want to go to St. Paul for what, a $35,000 salary? I wouldn't think of it.
I live here, and I don't want to go to St. Paul.
Yeah. I don't even want to go to a hockey game. That's how bad it is. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's not the funnest ballot to fill out. They kind of get worse. I mean, they kind of get worse for me. And the more I drift toward being an independent, the more I look at the ballot and just go, it don't matter that much.
But it does.
It does, but it doesn't.
Well,
I mean, it does to the point where, I'm writing in Boss Hogg and Roscoe P. Coltrane. How much, honestly, it's my silent protest to the people who are running that are unacceptable.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay to sit home and not vote at all, because then you're just allowing the process to happen.
And I found the biggest whiners, bitchers, and complainers sit home on Election Day.
Yeah?
I just find that amazing, but there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them who whine and cry and bitch and crab and moan and do nothing about it. And it's hard. I have a harder and harder time respecting them. So, I don't know, folks. I think it's brutal.
Yeah?
I think it's a brutal choice. Plymouth ain't all that good.
No.
Ain't that great. Ain't that great of choices.
Wow.
If Jeff Woolsey is pretty good, I feel sorry for who he has running here. He might wish he hadn't run for another term.
Could be worse. You could be in Minneapolis.
Well, it does nothing but get worse. But
Yeah. Could be in Robbinsdale.
Robbinsdale's brutal.
Could be in St. Louis Park.
No hope. There is no hope.
Yes.
No hope for New Hope. I don't know, Jay. I mean,
Yeah?
you gonna run Ward 4 next time? I heard all about this Draft
Really?
Bradley campaign.
Really? Now, I need to address this because, we get that question once in a while. What are you guys running for? We feel like our calling is to create 20,000 of us across the state rather than be one guy sitting in a seat. And that's just the unique call that we have. Would I ever absolutely rule out running for something? No, and you've done it. You put your money where your mouth is, and I managed that campaign, and we did it.
But the thing is, for me, I feel I learned a lot, and I feel like my skill set in a lot of ways works better behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This is the dirty little secret, though, about campaigns. Nationally as well. For every George W. Bush, there's a Karl Rove. Mm-hmm. For every Donald Trump, there's a Kellyanne Conway.
And that's
those roles
kind of
have
our
to be
job,
filled.
yeah.
There's always a treasurer. There's
Yep.
a strategist. There's a strategist. There's
George W.
yeah. There's there's volunteers who make calls and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
A campaign is a big operation depending on the office.
Yep, absolutely it is.
So, unfortunately, I think what I've learned is that going for the glory, while I will say this, I wish everybody could have had the experience I had.
Yep.
Wish everybody could take a summer and knock on doors and go to National Night Out and debate and I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
Do I care anymore about it? No, because I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and after I'm governor, I'll go back to it. But I mean, the point being that if I never ran for something again, I'd be okay with that. Yeah. So, and if I do, then I'm okay with that.
But we've got a lot of people out there this year that are busting their brains out trying to get elected and doing a great job of it. And I couldn't be prouder of them.
Yeah.
You
do
know?
you want to be in one race, or do you want to help 50 other people? What's better for if you run, then it's all about you. And for me, it's not always about me. That's
right. You know, and that's just our position. Most people aren't going to be called to what we're called to. They're going to be called to run for something, or maybe to be campaign managers or this or that. But too many people aren't doing anything, you know? and so that, you know, I'm not saying that to offend any of you that, you know, are our listeners, but rather to try to get you to think about it a little bit, because the next campaign season, really, it starts in a week.
There's no
from
off
tomorrow.
season. There's no off season.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you are just listening, you know, like we used to say about tea parties, who just go to a meeting every month and then do nothing for 30 days, then go to another meeting and do nothing for 30 days, and go to another meeting and do nothing for 30 days. You have to take something from this program. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's my hope, is that people have listened to us and done something about it. That they've gone through their comprehensive plan, they've gone through their budget, they've learned who's on their council, learned who represents them at the county. Because quite frankly, if you're not doing that, you're not getting out of the show what you should be. So, you know, that's the whole. By the way, Jay, my phone's dead, so there's going to be no Brother Love music for your sign-off sermon. I apologize. But here's the thing.
Yeah. Again,
folks, go to the sample ballot. You got a week. Don't vote early if you're not ready to vote. Okay? Do your own thing. Do your own research. Don't listen to your husband or your wife or your kids or your grandma. It's secret ballot for a reason. You got a brain in your head. Use it.
Yeah.
Don't vote for who you think's going to win. This isn't a horse race. And if you think it's an independent candidate, great.
Yeah.
You want to write in bend over? Write it in. You want to leave it blank? Leave it blank. Don't put your name to something. Look, again, you put your name to somebody and they do bad things, you're partly responsible for it.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's up to each of us to do our homework. It really is. So, it's all right.
Yeah, well.
That's all right. I got you. At some point, I think I do.
It's all right, Jay. I'll start the introduction anyway.
Yeah.
Another show in the can, number 200 and whatever it is, doesn't matter. Stylin', profilin', jet flying, limousine riding, wheelin' dealin', son of a gun, with his message of love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason, Donald, Bradley, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th Junior. Take it away.
That's right. And I'll see, I told you I got you. We're gonna do this the right way. If it's worth doing it all, we're doing it the right way. So, yeah, it's down to this. The time of this recording here, we are 7 days out from finding out what is the fate of our country. And it's really about that. It is about the fate of our country. Because I'm going to lay it out there. Democrats win this election, and things are going to go south in a bad way real fast. We need to have a resistance. There needs to be, even if it's half and half so nothing happens, gridlock is sometimes the best thing. But you know what? It would be nice to see some positive change too. So all y'all who are out there running for something, and you call yourself a Republican, or you call yourself a conservative or a libertarian or whatever, if you're not able to start seeing changes happen to roll back the tide of socialism and despotism and fascism that are coming upon this nation, then by all means, you ain't the right guy for the job. You ain't the right gal for the job. No, it is time for something else. It is time to lift up our heads and look up, because our redemption draws nigh. We are able.
Praise the Lord.
We are not saved by a political campaign. But you know what? We can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps because we are Americans. We can pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and say, no, not on my watch. It ain't going down like that. And we can put skin in the game, and we can decide to do something about it. We can decide, my friends, that it has gone far enough, and we can put our flag in the ground, and we can say no further. None shall pass. It's when we come together that there's strength in our numbers. And we've seen that in Virginia. And I believe that we're going to see it 1 week from tonight across this nation, in local races, in state races, in federal races. But that's not a time to stop. We haven't won anything. If the tide is stemmed of all this crazy stuff that we're having to endure, no, we have not won a thing, because they can come back in the next election and they can do exactly what it is that they've been trying to do the whole time. No, we've got to be there to put it out once and for all. It has to be done. Pedal to the metal until we have eradicated every last stronghold of this from our society. Let me just say it for the record. Men are men, and they can't have babies. Women are women, and that's never going to change. Down to the very chromosomes in every cell of our body. We can't change it. You know what? If you're white, you're black, you're brown, whatever color your skin is, if you're Native American, if you're Eastern Indian, if you're Chinese, if you're Japanese, if you're African, Mongolian, it doesn't matter. We're all human. I know, that's super racist to say, isn't it? Super racist to say. God smiles on us all. He created it all, and it's all good to him. Oh, I know. All these woke people are probably tearing their hair out by the roots about now. But you know what? That's the way it is. It's that simple. You don't have to be a certain color to be good in science, to be good in math, to be good in music, to be able to reach for the heights and fly to the stars. No. No, you just got to try hard. Believe in yourself. Get an education, know what you're meant to do, and do it to the best of your ability. But we need guardians right now. More than ever, we need guardians. We need people willing to stand up and say, not on my watch. This is not going to go down the way you think. So, we have a decision. We have a decision to make, and we will either live by it or die by it. It's all your turn, so you can get a hold of us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And we will be with you a week from now. So just hang in there. I think we're all going to celebrate. We love you, Minnesota, but now it's your turn to get to work.